watching the Mystical Green Beanie.
Hey, what's going on, dudes and dudettes? I am the Mystical Green Beanie, and in today's Multiversity Monday, I wanted to talk about the Ninja Turtles, more specifically, Raphael, and why he's the best character of the four. Now, when I say that he's the best character, I don't really mean that he's the best turtle. Obviously, that's Leo. Seriously, there's a reason he's the leader. But I think Raphael is the best character because he's the most interesting of the four. So, in order to break down why I think Raph is the best, I first have to talk about the other three. So, starting off with Mikey, he's okay. Really, what Mikey's character boils down to is the goofball. He's the jester. He's the comedic relief. But that's about it. There's not much to his character, and that's not to say that all the turtles are multi-layered, nuanced characters. I mean, they can be, but oftentimes they're depicted as archetypes, and with Mikey's, there's really not much to go off of. It's the same problem that I have with Beast Boy of the Teen Titans. He's just the obnoxious little brother character, and I know that for these characters respectively, that trait comes from somewhere, but it's always one that I roll my eyes at. They're the tragic comedians, laughing on the outside, crying on the inside. They have some sense of self-insecurity that they transform into levity to lighten the mood. Blah, blah, blah. Heart of gold. Blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I liked him a lot as a kid because I liked him superficially because he was always treated as the little brother and I was the youngest of all of my family members growing up. But beyond that, looking back, there's not much to really go off of. As for Donnie, he's just boring. I know that there's a large fan base for that character, and I don't get it. And that's not because I haven't tried or talked to Donatello fans. I have, and I still don't get it. He's the smart one, and that's it. He's smart. Now, that said, the 2012 animated series did something interesting with that character, or not something interesting, it did a lot of interesting things with that character, and I really liked a lot of the material with him that I've read in the IDW Turtles, and forgive me for not using the comics as a reference point more, but I'm like 50 issues behind everyone else, and I haven't even started reading TMNT Universe yet, so I'm not current on the IDW Turtles, so I have to play catch up, but I digress. Anyways, as I was saying, I like some of the things that are done with Donnie in the IDW comics, especially all the material dealing with Metalhead and whatnot, but again, it's always the obvious stuff, it's always the obvious stuff that's done with him. He's smart, and that affects the way he interacts with people and his brothers, and he's an outcast, and blah blah blah, because smart people are all outcast, and blah blah blah. Just not that compelling. I'm sorry. I do not find Donatello interesting in the least bit. Then there's Leonardo, and I actually really like Leo. Like I said before, there is a reason he's the leader. He's the best boy of the crew. That said, relative to Ralph, he's alright. He's the goody two-shoes leader of the group who wears the weight of the team's success, failures, and expectations on his back, or on his shell. I could make a pun there, but I'm not going to. I'm going to have some self-respect here. And he has to be the straight man to all of the BS that he puts up with from his brothers. And that's really interesting to see. Plus, he's just an inspiring character due to his sheer willpower and strength. But again, while these qualities make Leo really sympathetic and all, relative to Raph, I just called Raphael Ralph, that's funny, but relative to Raphael, And this brings me to the man, or the turtle himself. Raph is the best, or at the very least, he's the most interesting. Raphael is almost always depicted as being the angry one, and while on the surface, that's not the most compelling, once you start digging deeper into what makes him angry and why, then you start to really develop something cool. And it's either in the 1990 Ninja Turtles movie or the 2007 animated movie, which honestly is the sequel that movie deserved but never got until, 17 years later. Splinter tells Raph that he's not angry, but he's more so really passionate. He's passionate about the safety of New York. He's passionate about standing up to bullies. He's passionate about his brothers. He's passionate about his friends. He's just he's a guy with really strong feelings for and towards the people in his life, but he just has a hard time centering himself. And it doesn't help that he has a really hard time communicating those feelings. And what often he does is, that's a bad sentence, but whatever. But what he often does is channel those feelings into aggression. And it's not aggression for the sake of aggression or anger for the sake of anger. It comes from a place of not being able to properly get his points across to others, and taking the frustration from that and channeling it into something that's inherently self-destructive, which I think is fascinating and leads to a very interesting character, and that's why Raphael is my favorite Ninja Turtle. But yeah, guys, that's about it. That's why Raph is my favorite Ninja Turtle. But what about you? Who's your favorite turtle, and why? Let me know down below in the comment section, unless you're a Donatello fan, which, in that case, I've heard enough. Kidding. Also, if this video seems somewhat scripted to you, well, yeah, it was. And that's because I'm trying out something new. So what I'm doing with these Multiversity Mondays videos now is I'm going to treat them more like my usual videos, where I present a topic and discuss it with myself. Wow, that sounds lonely. But yeah, that's what I do with most of my other videos, and I like the way those videos come out, so I'm going to be doing the same thing with these, and I'm going to put some gameplay over the audio. And thankfully, with all the characters in Injustice, I won't run out of things to say or stuff to talk about. So, with that said, I will bid you adieu. I'm the Mystical Green Beanie. Thank you for watching, and as always, until next time, adios nachos, adios.